It's widely known that the Adidas Boston 11 was not many people's favorite shoe of the year in 2022. To me, it seems that Adidas listened to their critics. They've made the Boston 12 softer, faster, and more fun to run in than ever before. What's up YouTube? My name's Chris. I'm a YouTuber that likes to talk about running and running shoes, and today we're going to talk about the Adidas Adizero Boston 12. A disclaimer before we get into the review: I bought the shoe with my own money. No one will have the opportunity to see this video before you do. All these thoughts and opinions are my own. I've been wanting to try the Boston 12 because it looked like a shoe that had a lot of the features that I like in a daily trainer. Two critical foams, one super light, one a little more dense. Has a carbon plate, carbon rods built in. It's got a cool shape, breathable upper. Everything about it looked like something that was worth giving it a try. And I wasn't deterred by the Boston 11 reviews from last year. Everything that I could see lately was that the Boston 12 was a huge improvement over last year's iteration. Also, as you may have noticed, I'm kind of interested in trying out all the super daily trainers that are on the market. That's kind of where I find my happy place, is in a shoe that's stable but also kind of squishy, usually has some sort of carbon or plate of some sort inside, and that it has a pretty decent stack height and is just kind of an exciting shoe. Those are the things that I'm looking for in a shoe. That's what kind of makes me happy when I'm out on the trails, and the Boston 12 seem to have had all of those precursors. So what was it like to run in the Boston 12? I took the Boston 12s out on a 17-mile long run. I took them to the track. I did a few easy runs, and I did some marathon pace in them as well. I'm currently sitting at about 40 miles in this shoe. Overall, I love the shoe. It's a lot of fun to run in. It's super snappy. It's extremely breathable because the upper is just made of recycled mesh. It's kind of minimalistic. It kind of reminds me of the Takumi Sen 9. The upper is still very similar, but it still feels like a shoe that you can put in a lot of miles in. It's definitely more durable than the Takumi Sen 9 is. It definitely held up under all the different kinds of training that I put it through. One thing I will say that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think this is just an Adidas thing, is the tie down is really tricky. Doesn't look that strange. The shoelaces, just the way that they hold the upper down, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. I did have a few hot spots over the top of my left foot, and I tried taking out my runner's knot and tried to get rid of the tension, and it didn't really matter how loose I had the shoe on. I still kind of felt a hot spot on the top of my foot. I also noticed at the end of my 17-mile run that my toe was bruised slightly. I didn't feel it while I was out on the run, but I've actually never had that happen in any of the shoes I've ever ran in or on any of the long runs I've ever done. So that was new, and I don't know if that was the shoe or just part of the ins and outs of training. I will say that it doesn't quite feel great after about 13 miles of running. The long run, I was running a lot of like uphill and downhill intervals, and that could have just been my fault for picking the kind of course that I picked that day. But I did feel my legs getting pretty tired after about 13 miles. And I haven't had that issue in shoes like the Super Blast or the New Balance SE Trainer. You can definitely tell that it's got two different layers of foam in it. The Light Strike Pro, which is the top layer, and then the Light Strike 2.0, which is kind of more of a denser foam. are clearly made to create the kind of stability that you would need in a shoe like this, but they do marry up very well. You can feel that soft squishiness once you step into it. You can kind of feel the marshmallowy bounce that you would want in a super daily trainer, but it's not too unstable underfoot when you're running, when you're turning corners. And I think that's probably part of the carbon plate being at the back of the heel before it transitions into those energy rods that go up towards your feet. And you can see this little black piece right here is part of that carbon plate, and then the energy rods you can see through these through this window right here. Let's go over some of the specs. The Boston 12s come in at 9.1 ounces or 258 grams in a men's size 9. It has a heel stack of 35 millimeters, a forefoot stack of 28.5 millimeters, and a 6.5 millimeter drop. The upper is made of an ultralight recycled mesh. It is extremely breathable. It does feel good for the first couple of miles, but like I said, for me, I had a hot spot on the left side. It did bother me. It has bothered me on multiple runs. I do feel it, unfortunately, repetitively, so it is just part of the shoe construction, I believe, and I have wide feet. The top layer of the midsole is made up of the Light Strike Pro, which is Adidas' lightest and softest foam. You'll find that in a lot of their racers. The bottom layer, the more firm layer, is the Light Strike 2.0. It's a slightly denser foam, and I think it's really there to create stability, especially with that Light Strike Pro sitting on top of it, carbon plate in the middle. Like I said, in the middle of the two foams, you have the Energy Rods 2.0, which is a carbon fiber plate that splits into rods that go out towards where your toes are, sitting on top of those rods. On the outsole, you've got Adidas Continental Rubber, which I have to say, so here's a look at the rubber here. This is some of the most grippiest material I have felt in a running shoe. I could tell immediately when I put these on that the way that my foot was kind of like sticking to the ground, it felt like, or with every step I was kind of pulling myself forward to the next stride, which I love. I love that feeling in a shoe. There are a couple of shoes that do that really well. Adidas is one of them. I've noticed I haven't ran in it, but the Tracksmith Elliott outsole, that rubber is very grippy, and then the Puma Grip is also one of the better outsole rubbers. But one of my favorite parts of the shoe is absolutely the Continental rubber outsole. It's just I like feeling like I'm pulling myself forward while I'm running. So who is this shoe for? I would say this shoe is going to be for someone that's looking for a daily trainer that they can use for other things, such as speed work like track workouts, threshold runs, marathon pace runs. But it can do the easy miles too. I think this shoe is going to be for someone who's looking for a daily trainer that is a little more race-oriented than some of your others out there. Because that upper is so lightweight, because of that recycled mesh, it kind of has this like race day feel to it. It's super breathable. It really just gets wrapped around your foot. It's there to keep, it's there to keep everything together, but it doesn't have like the pillowy, cushiony parts that you might find in other shoes. Certainly not like some of the Hoka shoes that have a very like plush upper. This is very minimalistic, and for some people that's what they want. They want to be able to feel the ground beneath them, and they want to feel the air on top of their foot, and that's great. I'm a guy that kind of wants something in between. I don't necessarily want a pillow laying on top of my foot, but I just don't want a piece of cloth that's strapped down either. That's one reason why I really loved the Asics Super Blast. I felt like that was a great marriage of both like minimalistic, but still it felt comfortable and structured. It's just such a comfortable shoe. If someone was asking me what I would use this shoe for, I would say for me, I would probably use it for like a 6-mile run with some speed work in the middle. I would use it for maybe an easy 4-mile run that I'm I say easy, I mean, I'd probably be pushing into the 8-minute mile pace, which is, for me, it's pretty fast. I train anywhere from like a 9:50 to 9-minute mile at my easy pace. I would say this shoe could be used in like a 10K race. You could probably, depending on the runner, you could use this in a half marathon. I don't think it's going to do your legs any favors after about 13 miles. At least that's my opinion on this shoe. The Adidas Adizero Boston 12 is listed on Running Warehouse website for $159.95 right now. I think that puts it right in line with some of the other super daily trainers out there. Like the Puma Deviate Nitro 2, the Hoka Mach X, a little bit more expensive for the Hoka, but it's kind of in line. Will this shoe make it into my shoe rotation? I would say yeah. I think I'll probably take this out for maybe not like a recovery run, something that's gonna like be for my legs when they're really tired, but I might do this like to kick off a week, usually a Monday or Tuesday, or runs where I'm kind of gearing up for the week and starting to do well, let me say this. I would probably wear this shoe when I know that I've got strides coming up at the end of the workout, which is usually 2 or 3 times a week. I'll do 4, 5, 6 miles, and then after that I'll do a few reps of strides, and this would be a great shoe for that particular workout. If I'm going out on a run where I'm just taking it easy the whole time, probably won't reach for these. If you're looking for kind of like an experimental shoe for you, something that has like race day foam in it, carbon plate, energy rods, a great outsole with that continental rubber, I would say that the Boston 12 is a great option for you. I will say after running in the Boston 12, it's made me wonder if this is the brand I want to go with for my super shoe in Chicago. I still haven't picked out like the super shoe that I plan to wear for the Chicago Marathon. In Boston, I ran in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, and right now I'm kind of like up in the air on where to go with my super shoe selection. I'm looking at like the Endorphin Elites. I like the idea of possibly getting the Adios Pro 3 because that's what's available right now. I've considered stepping into a Nike shoe, which, shocker, I've never worn a Nike running shoe yet. Alright guys, so those are my quick and easy opinions on the Adidas Boston 12. I hope you found this video informational and helpful if you're looking at picking out a new shoe. Tell me what other shoes you'd like me to review. I've got a few on my radar right now. I have a new one that should be here on Friday that I'm excited to try out and talk about. If you've liked this content, please think about subscribing to my channel. We'll have new reviews up. I'm trying to do this at least once a week. Thanks. See you on the flip side.